What happens when a desperate woman takes a job in a wealthy household, only to uncover a charming husband's twisted need for control? Let's find out in the movie, The Housemaid. The film begins with a chick named Millie arriving at Andrew Winchester's house for a job interview as a house manager. She meets Andrew's wife, Nina, who welcomes her politely. Nina shows her a photo of her daughter, Cece, and describes her as a special child. She then gives Millie a tour of the house and mentions that Andrew designed it himself, even though he is not an interior designer. After leaving, Millie admits to herself that she doubts she will get the job because her resume is fake. It becomes clear that she is homeless and currently living in her car while serving a 5-year probation sentence, and the next morning, a police officer wakes her and tells her she cannot sleep there. Around the same time, Nina calls and offers her the job, asking her to start immediately. Millie arrives at the house and notices it is messy. Nina says she is busy preparing a speech for the school parents' council and leaves Millie to handle things. That evening, Andrew and Cece return home. Nina introduces Millie as the new housekeeper. Andrew seems surprised, but does not object. After finishing her work, Millie goes to her room and realizes the door has no key and the window is sealed shut. She asks Nina about it, and Nina promises to arrange for a key and to fix the window. The next morning, Millie wakes up to Nina angrily searching for her speech notes and accusing Millie of misplacing them. Andrew steps in and reminds Nina that the speech is saved on the computer and can be reprinted. Nina calms down and apologizes. Andrew also apologizes to Millie for the scene. Later that night, she has a dream about Andrew that leaves her uncomfortable. The next day is supposed to be her day off, but Nina tries to stop her from leaving. Andrew allows her to go after she insists she has an appointment. Millie visits her probation officer, who reminds her that keeping a steady job and housing is a requirement of her probation, so she must not lose this opportunity. Soon after, Andrew's mother visits. She appears strict and critical. She brings family heirloom dishes and makes a comment about Millie's clothing, suggesting it is inappropriate. Nina avoids confrontation and changes the subject. One night, Millie cannot sleep and goes downstairs to watch television. Andrew joins her, and they sit together casually. Nina notices them and later confronts Millie, accusing her of trying to get close to her husband. She briefly fires her, but agrees to give her 1 more week under strict conditions, including dressing modestly and keeping distance from Andrew. The following day, Nina invites friends over. Millie overhears them discussing Nina's past stay in a psychiatric hospital and implying that Andrew deserves someone better. They also mention that Nina had fertility problems. Millie is shaken by what she hears. Later, while Nina and Andrew are out, Millie looks through the medicine cabinet and finds antipsychotic medication. She becomes uneasy and calls a friend to look for another job. That night, she hears a loud argument from the couple's bedroom. Nina opens the door holding a piece of glass with blood on it, but Andrew soon appears and closes the door. The next morning, Nina gives Millie one of her dresses as a gift and asks her to book theater tickets and a hotel stay for a romantic weekend with Andrew. She also asks Millie to stay with Cece while they are away. At ballet practice, another nanny tells Millie that Nina once tried to drown Cece and was hospitalized for 9 months afterward. The next day, Nina claims she never asked for theater tickets and says the cost will be deducted from Millie's salary. Millie is distressed because the amount equals her entire pay. Andrew tries to calm Nina down. Over the weekend, Nina takes Cece to camp, leaving Millie alone with Andrew. He suggests they use the theater tickets themselves. Millie wears the dress Nina gave her, and they spend the evening together, eventually staying at the hotel. Their relationship becomes physical. They return home before Nina and Cece. Later, during lunch, Nina suddenly brings up Millie's prison record, revealing that she knows about her past. Andrew appears shocked. Nina then sends Millie to the supermarket with her car. At the store, one of Nina's friends informs Millie that the phone she has been using belongs to Nina and can track her location. Millie realizes Nina likely knows about her night with Andrew. As she leaves the supermarket, a police officer approaches her, handcuffs her, and informs her that the car has been reported stolen by its owner, Nina Winchester. Millie tries to explain that she works for the family and was told to use the car, but the officer does not seem convinced. At that moment, Andrew shows up at the supermarket, speaks to the officer, and clears up the situation. The officer releases her, and Andrew drives her home. On the way, he tells her that he does not judge her for her past, and that her time in prison does not change how he sees her. Millie points out that Nina clearly knows about their relationship, and Andrew admits that she does. When they arrive at the house, Nina is waiting. She tells Millie to pack her things and leave, accusing her of stealing the dress she had given her. Millie insists that the dress was a gift. Andrew sides with Millie and angrily tells Nina to leave the house instead. Nina storms out, gets into her car, and drives away. After Nina leaves, Millie says she will start looking for another job, but Andrew tells her he wants her to stay and build a life with him. He says she now belongs in the house as its new lady. Millie is thrilled by this sudden change. Over the next few days, they spend all their time together, and Andrew is affectionate and attentive. One morning, Millie wakes up early to prepare breakfast. She decides to use the expensive ceramic dishes that Andrew's mother had brought. While setting everything up, she suddenly notices Enzo standing outside the glass door. Startled, she drops the tray, and the dishes shatter on the floor. Andrew rushes downstairs after hearing her scream. He sees the broken heirloom pieces but stays calm. He asks what happened and then goes outside to chase Enzo away. When Millie apologizes for breaking the dishes, Andrew tells her not to worry and says he knows someone who can restore them. She gathers the broken pieces into a bag and hands them to him. As he looks through the bag, he asks why she did not wash the pieces first. She explains that she was afraid of cutting her hands. That evening, they spend time in the bedroom that used to belong to Nina and drink together. The next morning, Millie wakes up alone. When she tries to open the door, she realizes it is locked from the outside. At first, she assumes Andrew is joking, but when she calls out to him, he responds seriously and says she made a mistake and needs to be punished. The story then shifts back in time to reveal Nina's past. After leaving the house earlier, she had been laughing in a way that suggested relief rather than defeat. Years before, Nina had been a single mother struggling financially after her husband left her. She had to work long hours and leave her daughter with a nanny. During a board meeting at her company, she met Andrew. After the meeting, he approached her and asked her out to dinner. He was wealthy, confident, and charming, and within a month they were married. Early in their relationship, he encouraged her to dye her hair blonde. As time passed and her natural roots began to show, he pressured her to maintain the color. When she delayed going to the salon, he locked her in the same bedroom where he has now locked Millie. The room had no food and only a few bottles of water. He demanded that she pull out 100 hairs from her scalp and place them in an envelope, making sure each hair included the root. If even one did not, she would have to start again. At first she refused, but after days without food, she gave in. He claimed one hair was not pulled properly and forced her to repeat the process. Eventually, she fainted from exhaustion. When he finally opened the door, he gave her water, which had been drugged. After she lost consciousness again, she later woke up to find her daughter nearly drowned in the bathtub. The police arrived and assumed Nina had tried to harm her child. The story returns to the present, with Andrew standing outside the locked bedroom door. He tells her she must punish herself by cutting her stomach 21 times with a shard of ceramic before he will discuss letting her out. Millie searches carefully and finds a sharp object hidden away. She injures herself slightly to make it seem like she followed Andrew's instructions. When she calls him in to show him, she suddenly stabs him in the neck with the hidden tool. She grabs his phone, runs out of the room, and locks him inside instead. Using the phone, she discovers there is a camera installed in the room connected to his device. She watches him struggle while she calmly goes downstairs to eat and rest. She sees a message from Andrew's mother asking whether he has prepared divorce papers. Millie then finds pliers in a drawer and takes them upstairs along with gasoline and the remaining ceramic pieces. She throws the pliers inside and demands that he pull out his front tooth. When he hesitates, she smashes the remaining dishes and pours gasoline near the door. Fearing she will set it on fire, he finally complies. Even after he does what she demands, she leaves him locked inside. Meanwhile, Nina tells Cece the truth about their situation and plans to leave the house for good. Cece insists they cannot abandon Millie. Nina returns that night, assuming Millie is the one trapped. When she opens the door, Andrew attacks them. During the struggle, Millie pushes him over the second-floor railing. He falls into the lobby and dies. Nina tells Millie to run and says she will claim he fell accidentally. The police arrive soon after. Although the explanation sounds questionable, the officer investigating turns out to be the sister of Andrew's former fiancé. She privately believes Nina's version of events and does not pursue deeper questions. At Andrew's funeral, Millie stands at a distance, and Nina thanks her quietly, handing her a check for $100,000. A month later, Millie attends another job interview. The woman interviewing her says Nina recommended her. Millie notices bruises on the woman's hands and quickly understands the situation. She agrees to start working immediately, suggesting she now knows exactly how she can help.